Are you a professional pillow fighter? Or a 9-to-5 low-cost time travel agent? Or maybe real estate sales on Mars is your profession? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, however complex or intricate, Monday.com can help you organize, orchestrate, and make it more efficient. Monday.com is the one centralized platform for everything work-related. And with Monday.com, work is just easier. Monday.com, for whatever you run. Go to Monday.com to learn more.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer. So let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
So, okay, so you're doing these feature reports, and then do you get fired?
No, here's what happened. I went to the Christmas party that year in the Rainbow Room, which I didn't want to go to.
Right.
So this would have been 2008 Christmas.
Can I just say something about Christmas parties?
Yeah.
Like, all the comedy clubs have Christmas parties. It's like, why do I want to go to a comedy club and drink with the people I fucking see every
Day.
like...
Yeah, and don't kiss me. Don't kiss me
right.
hello.
And it's
that.
like, it smells.
I know. It's gross.
And everyone acts drunk, and like, it's just like, oh my God. Right. I have to see you so much. All right, go ahead.
I feel, by the way, the exact same way.
Yeah.
So I go there, and I wanted to leave. Actually, would have probably been at that point, 07. But here's what happened. I run into a guy from WRNN, my first station, who is now the head of the Taxi TV division.
Oh, yes, that little thingy. Yes,
so I
yes,
said,
yes.
hey, can I be on? He's like, hey, good to see you from RNN. I'm like, okay. And then he said he's head of NBC everywhere. I'm like, well, I don't know what that is, but
the guy, he's from Queens. He was on the Queens thing. Yeah.
Right. So basically, I was like, can I be on it? He's like, sure. So I had all the real estate in the cabs already.
Right.
Cut to, so now my son is born.
This is Primo.
Primo is born.
And you're with, I want to get into the birth of your sons in a minute, but go ahead.
Oh, well, but it leads to talk. So what happened was, I went down to Lafayette, Louisiana, and I was in the room when he was born, and it was awesome. Then
and did you know you were going to, how long did you know you were going to adopt him?
Oh, we found out Christmas Eve morning that we got chosen. I mean, the birth mom called us, and that's what happened. And I was able to actually tell my father-in-law, which was exciting because then he passed.
And then, so when was Primo born?
So Primo was born April 9th, 2009.
So you had 4 months.
Yep.
To be like, yeah, I'm having a baby. I'm having a baby.
And it wasn't a lot of contact. This was kind of like in a pre-texting. You know, we were like texting your face off then.
So like, let's do the phone call. Okay. All right.
It was me. Which one am I?
You're you.
No, I would have to be her because.
All right. I'll be. All right. You be her and I'll be you. But do it with an accent. Okay.
With the southern accent?
Yeah. What? Doesn't she have an accent?
Not really.
All right. Just do her. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Hello. Wait, hold on. I'm really busy. Hold on. Shut up! Right. I can't take it. Okay, go ahead.
It was pretty much like that, right?
Yeah, all right.
And then she had this voice that was bright and clear.
Okay.
And you know, all the adoption things say, don't ask them how they are, don't
shut the
keep
fuck
it all
up.
smiling, right?
Right. Okay. Hello.
Like we had this like a sunshiny, what's a smiley face thing that, saying like adopt. So my husband and I call it adoption face now when we try to smile through phone calls because they can hear you're smiling.
Right. Okay. Hello.
My husband doesn't say.
I can't believe we're not even doing the call.
Oh, because I need. Because
all
the call. Because here's what. Fine. Here's what.
And at what time of day was it? Was your husband home?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The call itself
and you'd
with
been
the
on
birth mother happened the day after Christmas, because the day before Christmas it was her aunt who called me to say, I am spearheading this for my niece. You know, we've gotten hundreds and hundreds of applications. You're the one. Or she maybe it was like between us and some families. Oh, I have goosebumps. So we got her on the phone in Manhattan, but we were driving down to Eastern Shore of Maryland to see my in-laws. Mm-hmm. We kept that aunt on the phone for the entire drive. Probably.
No way.
Yes, she was a hell of a storyteller, and I'm a reporter, right? So I'm asking her a million questions.
Right.
I just didn't want to let her get it off the phone. Right. And she said, the birth mother is with her family, she had a daughter with her for Christmas, but then she goes to see her dad after Christmas, so that's when the birth mother will call you. So what happened was we had a time set up. Mm-hmm. My husband and I...
Freaking out, right? Freaking out.
Yeah. I could think of nothing else.
Right.
And then so that the appointed time came, and we were each on separate cordless phones, and her voice was clear, and I think she said a few like ma'ams, and and then my husband, who literally hasn't said a word since the 80s, busts out with, "How do you feel?" And at that point, she cried a little and she said, "I am angry that I was put in the position to have to make this choice."
Wow. Good for her.
It was so brave and spot on. I mean, listen, Judy, nobody gives up their kid for adoption because they want to.
Right.
It's really... Well, in both of our birth mothers' cases, they each had another child and they knew the heartbreak that goes along with it.
Right. How old was she when she was pregnant?
28, maybe. I mean, she owned her home. She was,
that's so awful.
It was awful. And but I'll tell you, when we went down,
well, lucky for you, but yeah,
this is how I feel about this situation. No matter where it happens, I mean, it's with both of my sons, I had to make a conscious decision to stop thinking about the birth mom afterward, because I couldn't do the job for which they chose me if I was going to be so brokenhearted for them every second. Yeah. Although, let me just say that this summer, when I was very deep in, I can't believe I lost my job. This is because the show was...
Oh, we were to get there.
Sorry. Fuck. Okay, sorry.
Wait, can we do the phone call, please?
But it wasn't... Yeah, okay, fine. But it wasn't like a... Anyway... So it was a long call, but there wasn't a moment. It was so by the end, there was never a "I'm choosing you." It was like decided. It was decided, and then
what's the first? Because since you won't role play with me,
because I don't have a good. It's not a good story in that way. Right. It was so emotional. And so
was she crying?
Well, when Mike asked her how she felt,
that's
when her voice broke. And then I'll tell you, I got her on the phone the day before New Year's and talked to her for another 2 hours, and we were just trading stories. It was like hearing your baby's heartbeat. Right. I wanted to keep her close to me.
Right.
And frankly, I'm in touch with her mom, and the mom recently told me that she also suffers from depression.
Oh, my God.
And by the way, she's quite white, the mom. My older son is Cajun. He's very mixed up genetically, and so his family would have been really white anyway. Right. And he doesn't identify as black, interestingly.
Wow.
And she's quite black, and anyway, he's quite light, and he does not consider himself black.
That's interesting because most, I mean, I just like there's so many African American people who are white or maybe majority white, but they usually identify as black.
It'll be interesting as Primo gets older to see.
Well, because look, you go through life, and that's all people. He
doesn't see it,
right, and that's.
It's
so amazing. I just I have no idea what it's like to be a black person in this world, but I know what it's like to be a Jew and a gay and whoever I am, tall and not looking like everyone else. And I know people stare at me, but to fucking walk in a room and be the only person of it's like, really and I watch TV and I'm like, there's no black people on this show. Like, it's like fucking ridiculous. Like, it fucking pisses me. All right, so.
Well, but it is fascinating, by the way. So my younger son is very, very dark. And in Hebrew school, we had to switch Hebrew schools this year because he said he didn't want to be the only black person besides the security guard.
Wow.
And
we have black people in our synagogue.
Do you import them?
No, but I think a lot of them are, whatchamacallit, are they Nigerian? There's a whole bunch of Jews in...
Where do you go to temple?
B'nai Jeshurun. Or as my sister calls it, Saint B'nai Jeshurun.
Yeah.
All right, so...
You're really fancy. You're kind of like a closet
No,
fancy.
I'm not.
Dude.
I have one bathroom. What the fuck are you talking about?
Really?
I have one bathroom. I live in 1,000 square foot apartment. Shut the fuck up.
I think 1,000 is a lot, right?
No.
What if you put a porta potty?
Okay, so
that's a good idea.
We go to the neighbors. All right, so okay, so
all right, so where are we? So
we're back. So your son is born. You're at the birth.
We're at the birth,
and so you meet. That's the first time you meet the birth mother.
No, we were in Louisiana waiting. We were just like waiting, and she called us finally. She goes, I took all this time off work to have this baby, and P.S. that baby's not coming, so do you want to hang out? And we didn't even know if we were going to meet her. Like, we hadn't really...
And you have to, like, it's up to her. It's not up to the adoption thing. Okay.
No, it was, I met her online. It was an independent adoption.
Right.
Through a Yahoo adoption group.
That's awesome.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So that happened. So then, so we start hanging out with her. It was so important because I got to go to her house, see her photographs.
Right.
I had a visual on a lot of stuff. I met her daughter. You know, the whole thing was great. And actually, the first night we hung out, like at a Chili's or something, or TGI Fridays, we talked about Real Housewives of New York the entire time, which is why we'll forever, because there's not a lot of common language, right? And I didn't have a kid, and I didn't know mothery things to talk about, and the show had just kicked off, and I had just happened to do, and the whole country was obsessed, remember? And I just happened to meet a few of them at the segment that I did on them, and so we talked about it. Literally, we closed down the restaurant, and that show might be evil, but it's also gave me this
like a common ground.
Yeah, exactly. So that happened, and then the morning of the birth, we went into the room and we're just kind of hanging out. And she said, when the baby comes, you can stay. And I hadn't considered it, but of course, I'm like, of course,
right.
I'm embarrassed to tell this story, but it's like this. So she was giving birth, she was getting ready, and so I held her hand, I stood behind her. I held her hand with my right hand and her mom's hand with my left hand, and the mom held my hand in her hand. So we're like a circle behind her.
Right.
The baby comes out. She didn't want to hold him. It's emotional, right? She had bad eyesight, and she took her glasses off because she just couldn't.
Right, of course.
Right. He comes out. It's a presentation birth, like this, like his fist is in the air, like Rocket Boy. They take him into the other room, and I'm standing. But I'm standing there like, here's this woman who's giving me the ultimate gift, and I've come to love her in this short time. And I want to stay with her, but my son just went flying into the next room.
Right.
So finally, I don't know what I did, made small talk for a second, and then I ran out. And my husband was on the other side of the door, blubbering, crying. And Judy, I realized my heart didn't even quicken because I recognized my son. I'd seen him in my mind's eye since I was 4 years old.
Right.
And I realized that sounds psycho, but that's really what happened.
Right.
And when he came, and I'd never even held a baby, by the way.
Right.
Not
wow.
Right.
Okay.
He came in, and it was like, here you are. Great. Glad you made it. Let's keep going. I was ready for him.
Right.
Like the bus slowed down, he jumped on, and out we went. And that's really how it was with him. I mean, I had a baby in my arms 9 months from when I started the process.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? And it was all just like bam, bam, bam.
Wow. So you hold him. Do you ever bring him back in the room?
No. Nope, she didn't want to. But that night we had pizza in her room with her and the family. I mean, it was really.
No baby.
No baby. But of course, so we're running back and forth, and then when we do you remember driving away from the hospital with your kid? We drove away from the hospital, and I kept looking around like I was going to get busted for stealing the baby.
Right.
And then we stayed in this motel in Lafayette, Louisiana, where all these oil men stayed.
Yeah.
And the kid was screaming at night, and I was like, oh my God, we're going to get kicked out.
Right.
So the morning after our first night, I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
So it's the manager, and we're like, we're so sorry. And he goes, oh no, we wanted to give you this gift from the hotel, and it's beer cozies with the name of the hotel.
Oh, that's so cute.
It was so cute. It was so cool.
Now, I know as a gay person with kids, the shit that people have said to me at the airport, like, wait, who's the real mother?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, which one is, Yep. Like I get, and I had to we had to travel with birth certificates, adoption papers, everything to prove, right? So I can't imagine you're white.
Yep.
And you have a newborn black baby.
I have a newborn black baby, and that's where I ran when Sandra Bullock had a black baby. Mm-hmm. I cannot tell you how many times I had to be like, no, I'm not Sandra Bullock, like as if it was the only, multiracial family out there. But what happened was this, and it was a very crazy thing. My son was born with the name Nicholas. From the time we got on that first plane back from Lafayette, Louisiana, we started getting bumped up to first class. Like, lady with a baby! I mean, people were getting kicked off the flight, because it was overpacked. So I must have started calling him my primo ticket, and now he goes by Primo. He's never
So that wasn't his birth name?
No, he has 6 birth names. Nicholas, Joseph, Greenleaf, Brashowicz, Reyes, something else in Polish.
Yeah.
My husband's Polish. But he goes by Primo because I must have said it somewhere along the way. And now, not a single person ever has called him Nicholas.
So on his birth certificate, it doesn't say
6 names, none of which are Primo.
That's great.
Crazy.
I love that name, though.
Primo?
Yeah.
Me too. I love
What's his middle name?
Well, his real name is Nicholas. Nicholas Ray is my father-in-law. Joseph Greenleaf was my grandpa, my best friend, and the cantor.
Yeah.
And then there are 2 names in parentheses because my husband's like this old blue-blooded Polish nobility guy.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, I have that in my notes.
Okay, right. So that happened. And then so he just goes by Pri. I mean, that's so funny, right? And then Truman, my little guy, out of names by the time I hit Truman, right? Like there was no more family names.
Right.
But I was so sick of hearing about all these piece of shit men who were leaving these women and putting them in the position of having to get their baby for adoption. So I was like, I want a true man.
Oh, I like that.
That's what happened. And so I told her that on the phone, and she was deciding between us and another family, and I told her the name.
Yeah.
That was it.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
So, so what are you going to put in the yarmulke at the bar mitzvah for the name?
This is a great question.
Thank you.
Jesus Christ.
I know,
don't know.
it's gonna
Jesus
be-
Christ is probably what
All
I'll
right,
put.
that's good.
Yeah.
Jew. All right.
Jew.
So then you and then how far were they? 2 years apart or?
Okay. So they are 2 years and 3/4 because in the middle, everyone like says, oh, the 2 years is the perfect time, right? So Primo's adoption gets finalized. That day, while we're at Brooklyn Borough Hall, I start the process on the second one. We got adoption scammed. And that bitch is still in prison where she belongs.
What happened?
2 reporters in a household. Idiots, never looked it up. Met this woman online. No. I met her through an adoption person. Like, once you're in the adoption game, everyone knows everyone, kind of.
Right.
And I was hooked up with her, and we spoke, and she was so convincing. We sent her money a couple times, which is not legal, but we were, excited. Well, called the hospital to confirm the day that she said she was having a C-section of twins. They'd never heard of her.
No way.
Fred Armisen was on the show seconds after I found out, and I was like, "Hey, I'm having, I just had adoption scam." He's like, "All right, cool. Here's."
No way. It's amazing.
What the hell was he going to say? But
I know, but it's also like when you have to perform after like
it was that fast. It was like I realized what had happened. Got kicked
in your stomach.
butt,
yeah.
Right, and then hey, da na 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 na.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with a Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
How soon after that scam?
Well, after that scam, we got chosen by another birth mom upstate who changed her mind after I had spent 48 hours in the NICU with that baby. And on the 3rd day, I walked in with my son, Primo. I was going to introduce him to this baby. I got a call on my cell phone from a lawyer who said, "I am so sorry. She changed her mind."
No way.
That happened, yeah. But you know what, Judy? I could tell that wasn't my baby. It was a girl, first of all. I knew I was never going to have a girl.
Right.
She was super white, and I just...
Okay, fuck her.
It wasn't...
Not fuck the girl, but fuck the mother. Okay.
Somebody did, obviously.
All right.
Right. So everybody wasn't my baby.
So how'd you get Truman?
Well, by that point, we did sign up with an agency, and it was coming up on New Year's, and I was standing in the doorway of our mountain house, and there was like no signal, but they're like, "There's a baby, you."
Yeah.
That was it. So then a week, they were closed for a week. So finally, first week of January, we heard from her, and we were down in Oklahoma pretty quickly thereafter, and he was born January 16th. Yesterday was his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Truman!
He is a true man. That guy.
That's amazing.
I'm afraid he's going to get someone pregnant by looking at them.
Oh, that's
he's
cute.
Really sexy.
Okay, so your husband, Mike.
Yep.
Works for 60 Minutes.
He does. He is a producer over there.
And obviously he's not one of the people who sexually harasses
Only me. A lot of sexual
Right,
harassment.
because there's a lot of sexual harassment over there.
It's a very tough time
Right.
over there right now.
Of course.
But Susan Sorinsky, who's now taken over, love her actually. My husband worked for her when he was at 48 Hours.
Oh, okay.
And knows her to be a very thoughtful, detailed, and spirited person. I'm just sorry it all kind of went down the way it went down for everyone who was hurt by the things that happened over there.
Right.
By the way, CBS and NPR too, right? I mean, NPR.
Oh, I know. I couldn't
What the
believe
heck
it.
was
I
happening
know.
over there? Jesus.
Now, you are Polish royalty, apparently.
As a matter of fact, I am. That's true.
So what is that? And by the way, the Poles killed more Jews than anyone. Take care.
But they're making up for it.
Yeah.
Because now, so I guess my husband's millions of uncles ago, the guy was like a mercenary type,
Right.
and got counted. I don't know what got
Right.
made a count, knighted, counted, and thusly it has passed on, to the generations. But nobody told me until after I was married.
Okay.
So I'm a countess.
You are a countess.
Yes,
That's
I am.
great.
An actual one.
Okay. Now, here's the other thing. Your husband's Polish,
Yeah.
Polish royalty. What does his family think of him marrying a Jew? Take care.
Well, if they think anything bad, they haven't said it.
Oh, that's
to me.
nice.
His father, when he was alive, all he really cared about was that we believed in God. Frankly, that was
Right.
it. And we did. And so that happened. And then he got a look at my mom and thought my mom was super hot. So he was like,
Oh, that's
she's
nice.
going to age well. That was so his dad blessed
Okay,
it.
those are really good values. Okay, so we have a few things in common.
Yeah.
I'm a sneakerhead.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
You're kidding.
But vintage.
Of course, vintage.
Like PF Flyers.
Yeah. Do you have your favorite pair?
I do, and you know what else I do? It's horrible. I clean them. Like
What?
if they
Yeah,
get
no.
dirty. There's sneaker cleaner because my kids are really into sneakers too. But yeah.
Do you remember the shoelaces that were? I just thought of that were printed like hearts or like.
Oh, yeah.
We should come out with a line of like
That's
Jewish
really-
one-liners on the fucking shoelaces.
That's a great
What was that?
idea.
Is that a great idea?
I'm doing it. I'm getting all comics
so
to
good.
do it.
It's
Okay.
so good. Let's do a fundraiser for ourselves. A fundraiser for ourselves.
Yeah, fundraiser for ourselves. Okay, so
For depression. We could do a fundraiser for depression,
that's a good idea.
right? Every comedian.
Do I have to give the fucking money? All right.
No.
So
we have it. We have depression.
All right.
Okay, so you have your
Yeah.
favorite pair.
I love. There's a PF Flyer I have that is two-tone. It's brown and black, and it's fucking great. I love my Pumas. I'm a 11 men's. Wow. Yeah.
Your dick is.
Yeah, I have a huge cock.
Yeah.
I love my Pumas because my parents wouldn't let me buy them because they were really expensive when we were kids. I love my Adidas.
Yeah.
I mean, the Stan Smiths are really in now. The Converse are
in.
much better now.
Yeah.
I have the street ones that are really comfortable, but
Yeah.
they were. I love Jack Purcell's. Love Jack Purcell's.
That's my jam.
Keds, Pro Keds. I have high top Pro Keds.
Do you remember the Keds that, like, I always had the knockoff Keds.
Right.
They were too expensive. So my
Right.
parents made me get the ones that, like roach killers. Like,
Yeah.
the bulbous top.
Yeah.
I always hated that. So I now feel like in response to that, I really keep clear of the Keds.
Right.
Because it brings back awful memories
Right,
of not
right.
being able to be stylish.
No, I like the Pro Keds.
Yeah, me too.
So what's your favorite?
My Puma. Well, I have these Adidas. Mm-hmm. No, hold on. Sorry. I have these Nike high tops that are sort of a red, gold, and green, like a little bit
Right.
of a takeoff, like a Rasta thing.
Right.
With like, yeah. So I think those. I think Nike high tops. But really, what I wear every day now is Vans.
Have been looking at the Vans,
Yeah.
and because everyone has them, and I'm
Everyone.
like, I don't want to get Vans because everyone has them. But then I'm like, do I like them?
I think like for me, they have that classic punk rock
Right.
ska thing.
But
that
I'm like the 60s and 70s. That's this kind of sneakers I
I
get
would think
into.
Puma for you. If I
I
were to
love
look-
Puma. Yeah.
Look, what does your sneaker choice say about you? I mean, we can't be the only person to have
Yeah.
this conversation, but I feel that like it does say something about you. So
Right.
for me, I think with that California moment when I kind of came
Right.
into my fashion self,
Yeah.
obviously not so into it.
Okay.
But the point being, I'm a Vans in my heart right now.
Okay. Now you created Talk Stoop, which ended up in all the cabs and on NBC after SNL.
Yep.
And how many years did you do that for?
9 years.
9 years. And I was a guest on it.
And we hung up my mezuzah.
Yes.
That day.
I know.
The horror on my stoop.
Yes, I loved it.
Awesome.
It was so great.
And I was a huge fan of yours.
I remember my agent never told me that you wanted me on the show.
Yes, why was that?
Fucking pissed me off.
Fuck them. Are they still your agent?
No.
I met your
So,
agent.
you do this show for 9 years.
Yep.
Guests run the gamut. Run the fucking gamut. Like major, like...
Isn't that crazy?
Yes,
and
best guest. Or not best guest, but
You.
like... shut up. The best, like the best interview.
I mean, there's so many that I can't believe.
Right.
But this says a little something about who you're talking to right now, what a weirdo I am. Ed Asner. When Ed Asner... You
made out with Ed Asner.
I did. Yes, I did.
Yes.
So Ed Asner and then Sting, being able to sing with Sting. Yeah.
I was not Jewish. Sorry. I just
Not Jewish, yeah. But it was like really one of the... But isn't that funny that those are the two that I'm like, I've arrived. Ed Asner was the first
Ed
one.
Asner, fucking amazing.
Oh, God.
Now, Brooke Shields.
I love her.
She's the nicest person. Nicest.
She gave me a piece of advice that
I love this, yes.
Oh, you know it?
Yes.
So I asked her how she stayed so relevant, and she said, you go where the water's warm.
Right.
Now, here's what's amazing. I never took anybody's wisdom for myself. I always thought of myself as a channel to get it out to the world. So I used to tell her story all the time. It wasn't until like a couple months ago when I'm like, gosh, I do my career, what is going on? I mean, what?
Right.
And then I remember what she said, go where the water's warm. Right. Which, of course, I'm like, maybe I should move to Puerto Rico.
Right.
But it was such a smart thing to say. And I tell people all the time. And everybody's like, oh, who loves you? Who's giving you an opportunity?
Right.
Go there.
Right.
Stop fighting to be where you're not.
Right. Exactly. I love that girl. So also, what happened? Someone was on big producer who called you sweetheart.
Tony Robbins called me honey.
No way.
And we got into it. We got into a fight.
Good.
It was his second time on the show. Listen, I happen to really enjoy Tony. He brought it. He was funny. He didn't care. The dog is all over him. I spilled coffee.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve, right. And he rolled with it, And but he called me honey. And I was not having it because we're talking about some financial shit. And I was like, when you're sitting in a room with, Jeff Bezos, you're calling him honey?
Right.
Or sweetheart. He was trying to put me in my place. But the truth was, I still believe in what I was saying. And we fought.
It's so annoying. It's like, don't call me honey.
Honey, right?
Don't fucking call me sweetheart and don't call me honey or doll.
Right.
I'm not,
Right. But I will say this, that even with that, I felt like Tony approached me with a lot of respect throughout our meetings. He was always Joel. A lot of people, frankly, that you would not necessarily. I don't know, maybe just wouldn't think it through, but everyone was really great to me on that show. I have to say, except for NBC when they fired me.
Right. So they fired you, even though you created this fucking show.
Correct.
And they fired you. You were in a clinical depression.
Yep.
And you had told people, I'm not well.
We lost a friend to brain cancer.
There's always a trigger,
Well, that's what it was. My husband always says that this detail isn't important, but I always say he wasn't one of my best friends. He was one of my husband's best friends.
Right.
But it's something about it, Judy. It was like the Jenga piece that came out.
Right.
And so what I did was I sort of retreated up to the mountains. We have a house up there. I wore the same fluffy pink, it wasn't fluffy at the end, footy pajama suit.
Right.
My husband is a saint for watching our kids during that time.
Right.
Chris, I don't remember anything. It was like that dark,
Yeah.
And then it hit me of like, Cat, you have spent most of your life building a moat around yourself because feeling hurts.
Right.
And I realized I had been this bulldozer from the time, from my first depression. I had just I sort of shut off.
Right. And put on that happy face.
That happy face. But, I always knew that I was not being a good wife, that I was not as close to my kids as I could be, that I didn't have the close friendships that I knew could exist because my heart was behind walls of steel.
Right.
But everyone would say, you're a bulldozer, you're always, you bring full force to everything.
Right.
Because I did in order not to feel.
Right. Because,
So,
that's a way of just deflecting from,
And asking the questions so I don't have to answer them.
Right.
So there I am, upstate, and when this all hits me one day of like, oh my God, now I'm actually feeling, and I was about to come back to New York and like start anew, and then got fired while that was happening.
And you had no idea.
No idea. No idea.
Did you get, did you go back into a depression?
Yeah, I went into my basement and where there were no windows and thought, how am I ever going to leave?
I mean, you fucking created this show.
It was born the same week my son was born.
Ugh. And the other thing is that's annoying, they recast it.
Here's the real deal.
So did they own it?
Yeah, so what happened was I came up with it. And frankly, I always say this, it hit me on the head. The idea for Talk Stoop hit me on the head.
Right.
It's not something that I brainstormed and blah, blah, blah. It's like it hit me on the head one morning. I was shooting by that afternoon. Okay, so very quickly after we started, because I was already in the cabs, I knew that this was a hit. And so I met with my boss and I was like, hey, so this is a hit. What can I do to have sort of a stake in it, And she said, frankly, nothing. I'm sorry. Here's the deal.
Right.
You work for NBC. So I always knew that. Still efforted to, build bigger partnerships. We got us on USA, the whole thing. So, but I always knew that it wasn't mine.
Right, and it's also you don't think anyone's gonna fucking do that to you.
Right. Well, they also said it's yours. It's yours. It's yours.
Oh, I hate when they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is yours. You're here. We love you. That's like the kiss of death.
4 Emmys later.
Yeah.
A show that bore my name.
Right.
Anyway, but as we were talking about before we got started, this year of horrors has been the most instructive year. And I will say this too, and it's going to sound like it's not real, but like the truth is, this situation that I'm in is just another situation.
Right.
I have been happy in my life. I've been sad in my life. I have been broke. I have been flush.
Right.
I have been single. and it's basically all the same. It's just sort of how you choose to show up for
it's
it
just
and
like,
interpret it.
and also you have to. There's a book called Radical Acceptance, and that's a real part of depression. Is like, first of all, identifying the fact that the shit in your head you're creating.
Yes,
and there's other shit that you have to accept, like. You don't have a job right now.
Right.
They fucking screwed you over.
Right.
Blah blah blah. But you're gonna come out of this, and you're gonna be better for it. And you know more. You're gonna protect yourself next time.
Yeah.
And
yes.
and I know because I was getting into a bad depression in December, and it was horrible, and. I wake up when I have diurnal depression, as I told you before, which is during the day I can't function, and then the sun goes down and I feel lifted. So
what is it? What's behind that? I'd never actually heard about
your I guess it's your clock. Like William Stryon had nocturnal depression. Most people have nocturnal,
right,
where they can't sleep. So anyway, and I realized that I've always felt like that. I've always I wake up, I'm like fuck, and since I'm a kid, and then at nighttime I'm like, oh, okay, and. I reached out to people this past, in December, and I also, even though I was waking up in my panic crying mode, I could get out of bed. Like before, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even talk. Right. But I'm better. The CBT therapy and stuff like that has given me tools, even though I still have those horrible thoughts. And it's just, each time is a different episode.
Do you mind if I ask you what your most useful tool is?
Meditation. And I think an exercise is really important.
Yeah. But how do you get up out the bed to do it?
I do this thing, and I do it every morning, where when I wake up, I do like this creative visualization of what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in the bathroom. I'm going to pee. I'm going to brush my teeth. Then I have to plan out step by step that I have a purpose. You know what I mean?
I do, but I find this to me is exactly the problem, was taking that first step. I have spent weeks in bed.
Yeah, it's the worst.
I'm so embarrassed by it. I've seen every frame of
Don't
television.
be embarrassed.
Well, you know what though? Here's where I am now. Where are we now? So I'm like, what am I? 14 months.
Yeah.
Into this thing. I experienced a huge forest fire in my life.
Right.
Every relationship, everything changed. And I saw some ugly things, mostly that rhyme with everyone's afraid.
Right.
Right. So fine. All of that said, I now realize that I have to start getting out of bed every day. Like enough.
Right,
I've given myself a bit too much leeway.
Right.
And I gotta get
and
out
it's
of bed.
like a choice. That's a choice. So you have to say, even though this sucks, just fucking do it. Just fucking do it.
Right. Instead of laying here looking at the beach now,
Right.
I get
up. Just get up. Just do it.
in my same
Sometimes
pajamas.
it's the fucking worst thing in the entire world, but you have to do it.
You have to do it. And that is literally what I just came to last week.
Right.
Of get up and out the door.
Right.
I come right back in.
Like
but
you have to go outside. I've gone days without going outside, and I'm like, oh my god.
Days.
Yeah.
Literally weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks.
Horrible.
And so yeah.
So we love you. Everyone with depression, we love you.
We love you, and I just want to say too that like it's I am I've always thought it's BS. People say, "Oh, I'm so grateful for the hardships in my life,"
yeah.
but I am grateful for this one in a huge way
Because even though I kind of believe everything happens for a reason. And sometimes I don't believe everything, but
I'm with you.
But you learn something.
Sometimes you create the reason afterward.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I would like to think that God is not sitting around worrying about the minutia of my life.
Right.
That said, after a thing happens, yes, we need some divine intervention, and hopefully that was part of the plan, but also we interpret what the thing meant in our lives.
Right.
You know, that's what I believe, is that you ascribe the reason to it.
Right.
Is ascribe a word?
But I also feel sometimes I go back. This is something I do, where I go back to when it was good, and I'm like, "You're such an idiot. You thought this was gonna," you know what I mean? Like I punish myself, my old self, like you fucking stupid idiot. I can't believe how dumb you were that you thought that everything was gonna be okay. You know,
I do.
It's like it's such a fucking crapshoot in your head.
I know. I am so over my head, by the way. You know what it felt like last night to me? I felt like there was like a little person with fists, like punching from my brain to my skull. You know, I'm so over my own thoughts. By the way, that's the other reason why I'd like to get up and out of my house and sort of back on a regular schedule, is because I am so sick of my story. I'm sick of my thoughts.
It gets boring. It's like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
I went out with a bunch of comics last weekend, and one of the comics looks at me and goes, "Oh my God, you're so in your head all the time, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's so obvious that."
Why did they say that?
Because he was like, "Oh, you did a really great job." I'm like, "That was okay." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Well, it's just, it's all." I don't know. They say pessimism. People who are pessimistic are really optimistic because
they're pragmatic. They know what is.
Right. So, and they're just preparing themselves, but also if you're a pessimist but you keep trying, then you have to feel that there's some optimism or you wouldn't fucking be motivated.
100%. Yeah. Right. And then the so-called optimists are the ones that disappoint every second. Right.
Who are like the people who are like, "Oh my God, every day's a gift," and blah, blah, blah. And like, I want to punch their face in, but because I want to go, "No, it's not. Something shitty's going to happen in like the next week,
But it's, what are you going to do with
it?
I
know. And then you have to be in the moment and be like, you have to remind, it's like so much fucking head work and thinking and fucking annoying.
Well, so I've been, by the way, also meditating, and
so good.
My teacher said to me yesterday, she's like, huh, and she's so funny. She's Asian. I mean, she's helped me so much. Yesterday, though,
Israel. Yeah.
But her thing yesterday was like, and anyway, who cares? Like, that's sort of like where she ended up on everything. And
is it TM?
No, I did that with Bob Roth, and I want it.
Can you introduce me to him?
Of course,
because
I love you.
Because I really want to do that, and I can't get to Bob Roth.
Really?
Yeah.
He will love it. You know how I met him? Is he just like wrote me a fan letter? Not just, I really like what you do, Cat Greenleaf. And so I called him.
Did you have to pay?
No.
Yeah, that's what I want. I don't want to have to pay.
He also taught it to my kids, by the way.
Oh God, I have to go to him.
Can I tell you a funny story about him?
Yeah, and then we have to hang up soon.
Okay.
All right,
so I'm at a benefit for his TM thing, and it was great. I ran into Ben Vereen, who I love.
Oh my God, I love him.
He was an early adopter of Talk Stoop. I
love him.
And he wore his Converse like as an homage.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I run into him, blah, blah, blah. So Bob gets up there. It's his big moment. He's interviewing Mary, the other woman, Mary from Weeds. The actress.
Mary Stuart Masterson?
No, the other one. Who else? Mary Louise Parker.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
fine. So her, and then and Tom Hanks is up there, and so Bob is like, now this is his moment. He's doing the interview, and suddenly he gets a gusher nosebleed.
No way.
In the middle. So he gets up and runs backstage, and nobody knew what to do, and so I was kind of moments from running up there and being
to help. Yeah.
And then Tom Hanks picked up the mic and killed it and was awesome.
Wow.
And I was like, good for him. He really was showing support.
Right.
And Bob, I laughed it off, and I told him I've hosted probably 1,000 of these things in my career, and I don't remember a single one. This I will never forget.
That's amazing.
I have so much respect for him after that moment, and still do. He's a great guy, and he has a very similar background to ours.
Okay, will you please?
This week's episode of It's Judy Show with Judy Gold is sponsored by BetterHelp. And if you know me, which I think you do because you're listening to my podcast right now, you know that I am a big advocate for therapy. I think it benefits everyone. I think there's so many people who need it, who don't partake. It is so important for your emotional health and well-being. Therapy is fantastic. It is in every stretch of the imagination. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, please do it. But please give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It suits your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I have switched therapists in my life. I've had many, many therapists, and sometimes it's not a great fit for you, but don't give up. Therapy is beneficial. You can learn about yourself, you can process, and just be emotionally healthy. I'm telling you, do it. BetterHelp is great because, when I used to schlep to my therapist's office, it was so annoying. You have to do it, and you sit there and you wait, and then I'm telling you, doing it online is fantastic. And BetterHelp is amazing. I know a lot of people who've used it. So if you're thinking about therapy, go to BetterHelp.com. Let the gratitude flow. This is Gratitude Month, people. So you need to let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/JudyGold, JudyGold, today, and you will get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JudyGold. You're welcome.
Your mother has a website where she talks about how much she hated being a mother?
Yeah. So it's... so here's the thing. It's about being a parent to grown offspring. Mm-hmm. And she claims it's not personal, except that I am the grown offspring. So it's not a very comfortable thing for me.
Is she not talking about your adopted sister?
I believe she talks about all of us, and she also, by the way, brings in other people's stories. But here's the thing. So I have never been on the site.
Yeah.
I've never been on the site. Just like when you mentioned earlier, they recast Talk Stoop. I don't know anything about it because I have not been in a cab. I have not watched.
Well, I only know because I was looking, I was doing work.
Look, everybody knows, but
I don't know if I haven't seen it at all.
People have seen it and sent me pictures, and as soon as I sort of
who the fuck would send you a picture of that?
Everybody thinks they're being kind, and I've had to say, listen,
no,
and listen, I don't know the person who took over, but I will tell you, I wish that person only good things.
Right.
This is a beautiful garden that I created that I really would hate to think of it not going well.
What would you do if she contacted you?
Well,
I want to thank you and
Well, that would be very poor taste, because I want to thank you for going into depression and getting fired and letting me
for
raise
creating
your
the
child.
show. All right,
but
yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to say this one last thing about it is that I always thought of Talk Stoop as my child, and this summer I was standing on the shores of the Atlantic feeling so bad and so terrible about it, and then I realized that the courageous women who made an adoption plan and chose us to raise their children.
Right.
When I just, like, my knees just went weak even thinking about this. Imagine how they felt.
Right. Someone always has it worse than you.
Right. And while Talk Stoop has always felt like my work child.
Right.
And by the way, I think you have... A child doesn't necessarily have to be a person. You know what I mean? Some people...
But also, can I say something? Your kids are what? 6?
7 and almost 10.
7 and 10. These, like, you're never going to get this time back, and it goes so fast. I'm telling you right now, it's a blessing in disguise. I'm not kidding.
No, you're right.
Because, I came back to New York from LA, and my manager was so mad at me when Henry was born. And I think back to everything I gave up to I would not give it away for anything. For the money I could have had on a sitcom, whatever.
Right.
That time, like, you are going to be so happy.
Absolutely. Listen, but I can now tell this to you because I'm so embarrassed to admit it otherwise. I just this week told my kids I was no longer doing Talk Stoop.
Wow.
I was so afraid that they
don't care.
They don't care, except that, listen, people know who I am, and we get a lot of love for the show, and so they've never had a life without Talk Stoop in it, and so I was afraid that they'd be angry at me.
Oh my God, no, they love you. They don't care.
They did not care. They didn't care.
They're probably like, yay, more time.
Yeah, exactly. And
now you can come to this. Now you can come to that. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, So it's, what a year.
I mean, and also when I used to travel, Henry used to be like, why can't you have a regular job like everyone else? And now he lives with me now. He's 22, yes. And he wouldn't live with me in high school. And I was so upset. And I found out, I thought he hated me. And it was because his other mother worked so much that when he got home from school, no one was there. And she has a balcony and he could smoke pot with his friends. Okay, so...
very reasonable human being.
So, all right. Well, I always ask my guests 2 questions. One, you already answered because I asked them if they're on antidepressants because we're very, What's your cocktail now?
Well, I'll tell you, now I'm not on any.
What? How is that?
It's pretty great. So here's what I realize is my main hang up. It's the ADD. I wasn't diagnosed ever as a kid.
Right.
And
it's the worst.
The worst. And so a lot of people say, oh, Adderall, it's like a poor man's Coke.
Right.
But I'll tell you this, not for me. For me, it just allows my head to go straight.
Right.
It's the only thing.
Yeah, I wanted Adderall, but she said, no, Ritalin's better.
I mean, Ritalin sounds to me like the vapors, like it was from a million years
ago. I'm like,
ago.
can I do Adderall? And she's like, a very low dose of Ritalin. And it's like...
Do you like it?
I do. I really wanted to try Adderall, though.
Oh, well...
But... I think that's all I fucking need too. But then I got on the Paxil and I'm not crying every morning.
Whatever works.
Right.
Because I find my depression is very situational.
Right.
I mean, there I was, it was awful, and then it got
But my anxiety is so bad, so I definitely need something to stop the zzz. That's always in my head. Zzz. Like I can't even do like washing the dishes. Like I can't even focus on washing the dishes because I'm just like, you have to do this and you didn't do that and you're dead and then I leave something here and I just shut up.
Shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
I know. Isn't it something? Why?
Jews, intermarriage. You kind of started telling me this, but what pisses you off the most?
I mean, on which front? Everything. So here's the thing. Here it is. Ready? the herd mentality that has overtaken this country. When anybody, I don't care if it's your grandmother or a comedian who's really well known. Here's the deal. When somebody might post on whatever, hey, I think X, Y, or Z. And then they get like virtually stoned to death. And then they take it down and they apologize. Where are the balls? Where are your balls, America? And by the way, I mean this on either side. Let's be brave and have real conversations. Let's allow people to think.
And also, all these people have a fucking platform who don't need a platform. And stop apologizing. Stop apologizing. God damn it. Stop it, you fucking asshole. You goddamn son of a bitch.
Which is why, listen, this gets me more than anything. And now here's what's been very interesting for me as a Jewish of a certain age. Like, we're all liberal, we're all garden variety. When I would be in a position of just posing a question of, well, maybe there could be this outcome, or maybe... And people I know to be well educated, and I respect them and all the things. No, they're instant no's, and I look like this right-winger almost compared to them. Because I'm also not apologizing if I have a thought. So I have become, remember when we were at the Friars Club and Gloria Allred's daughter was not into one of the things I was saying because I was like, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And she didn't think so. My husband went ahead and agreed with her because he didn't want to look like he had the crazy wife.
Oh, that's so disloyal.
He and I have talked about it a lot because it comes up all the time. I'm never going to change his mind on this. I'm never going to change anyone's mind. But frankly, I think I'm a boring friend now because I'm always like, yeah, I see your point, but it could also be this other thing. Right. So I don't have that.
But it was a Friars roast.
Tony, I mean, whatever. By the way, you were fucking hilarious that night. I loved that night. I loved it.
That was fun, yeah.
Wasn't it fun?
Are you a friar yet?
So funny you ask. I just wrote back to Anthony, what's his nuts, and was like, hey, I remember I got you my application. Do you still want me at it? And
wait, I thought I was one of your sponsors.
You were supposed to sponsor me.
Yeah, okay.
I meant to ask you, did you blackball me?
No, I want to sponsor you.
Okay, well, I'm going in next week.
All right.
So I don't know how it goes. But anyway.
Oh, God, you're going to fucking...
It's like, I'm going to have to just pay the money.
Yeah.
But so what pisses me off is the ballslessness of America and the fact that nobody that I know well is in the mood to think about what we're going to do about this shit show that has become our country. It's all like, let's yell at the other side. But
it's us versus them.
It's us versus them, which gets you, by the way, nowhere.
Right, exactly.
So that's what bothers me is that I feel like
Newt
we are
Gingrich
nowhere.
started that bullshit when he said I'm not going to pass anything Clinton. He started the whole fucking bullshit.
I mean, it makes me so ill. I'm so embarrassed.
It's especially when I'm doing clubs and there's people from Australia or Ireland and I'm like, we hate them. Just go back. We fucking hate that motherfucker.
We also hate them. Yeah.
So I agree with you on stop apologizing. Own up to what you said. Well,
how about this? Oh, I said something terrible on Twitter many years ago. Or someone says I said that. I didn't really say that. That couldn't have been me. Let me do an investigation and see if I was hacked. No, you weren't hacked. You were homophobic. Right. You said it. So say you're sorry.
Right. And just move on. But it's gonna come up. Like the Kevin Hart thing.
Yes.
Don't act like I would apologize. Just sorry, you said something. You're really famous. There's shit you're going to have to deal with.
Yep.
And that's one of them. Say, you know what? I did say that and I was wrong. Yeah. And I'm really sorry. And I don't care if you have to say it 5,000 times. You make $8 billion a year. Right. You're a big role model. A big role model.
Yes.
So, when people see that bit and say, I'm going to break the doll over my kid's head, and you then read about a suicide or, whatever, sorry, you're going to have to, it's going to come up and you have to deal with it.
This is one thing, by the way, about getting fired in public and being a public face of depression and alcoholism and all the things. It's all out there now. Do you know what I mean? And I don't like it, and I don't wish this on anybody, but I don't also have to pretend that I haven't gone through some of life's actual trials because everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Everyone knows. And I know that's the hard part about being...
Yeah. Everybody knows. And by the way, even as I say that to you, my stomach just
I hate
turned.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. You're going to come out so... Okay.
And it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm here. Listen, I'm finally on your podcast.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
I get out.
Well, I had mostly comics on, and then I was like, Laura, can you get me Cat? All right. I cannot thank you enough. Where can people find you? Are you on social media, even though you hate it?
I am. I'm at Cat Greenleaf, but my husband
at Cat Greenleaf.
Yeah.
CatGreenleaf. That's exactly
me.
How it sounds.
And catgreenleaf.com. And listen, reach out, hit me up. What do the kids say? Tweet me.
I don't know. They say, Snapchat me. It's fucking ridiculous.
Right.
I can't even figure it out.
Send me a message in a bottle.
Yeah, exactly. You're the best.
You're the best.
Something great's going to happen this year for you.
It already has, Judy Gold. Sitting here with you.
Oh, God damn it. I'm going to vomit.
I'll give you 2 Adderall for 1 Ritalin so we can... What do you think?
Oh, I don't have my Ritalin with me. I can't believe you wouldn't just give me an Adderall. You're such an asshole. No, listen, I don't want it. All right.
I love you.
I love you. And as we always say, so long!
So long.
And everything was wonderful. I'll see you soon. Thank you for the visit. So long.